I'm always excited to share about the Omer. So there's no better time than the sun hasn't quite yet set. No, I think, can you all see it okay? I think it's okay. Let us watch this. It's not going to fully set while we daven, but we are still in until we light our festival candles, the last day of the Omer. And it's fitting that I can share these words about our Omer counting this year as we have just gathered in the atrium for our gallery gathering, stunningly put together by Hannah with support from Rabbi Harper and this entire Shabbat and weekend of study. So very apropos that I can share these words now, right after we finish joining together in the Nigun that you may not have known was called the Sfirat HaOmer Nigun. So a few words of Torah as we begin. Unlike many of our tradition's most prominent chagim and festivals, the date for Shavuot is not mentioned in the Torah. We only know when to observe it by counting a period of 7 weeks from the second night of Passover. Last week's parashah, the week before, Leviticus chapter 23, verse 15 reads, "And from the day on which you bring the sheaf, called the Omer, of elevation offering, the day after Pesach begins, you shall count off 7 weeks. They must be complete. You must count until the day after the 7th week, 50 days. Then you shall bring an offering of new grain to God." So today, this evening, is Shavuot, the day of the new offering. While the counting of this time period began as an agricultural exercise to harvest the grain and to bring it as an offering to God, the practice has evolved over the centuries. Our rabbis, the Talmudic sages, viewed it as a time to mark our journey of the exodus from Egypt to the revelation of the Torah at Sinai. The mystic Kabbalists viewed it as a time to reflect on the 7 attributes of God that we as humans should aspire towards each day to improve our character and become better versions of ourselves. And so our modern practice is to count each day, reflecting on God's attributes: loving kindness, chesed, strength, gevurah, harmony, tiferet, endurance, netzach, humility, hod, foundation, yesod, v'malchut, shechina, and sovereignty, malchuyot. Each day we hone our practice of these attributes. This is what we have been doing in our community for the past 7 weeks as we have counted and reflected. Each year, our ritual has gathered more and more counters. And thanks to Hannah Richmond Carney, this year, she's probably in the back, our practice has not only included counting, but making the Omer through art. These two practices of counting and making art go naturally together. We need not look further than the first story in the Torah, the creation of the world, to understand this synergy. God counts each and every day, dedicating each day for a unique and special purpose. Each creation is an important wonder, unlike any that has come before. Yet all these days of creation and the individual creations themselves come together to make the universe. My colleague, Rabbi Emma Gottlieb, writes, "The Torah teaches us to count, day by day, step by step, from Passover to Shavuot, 49 days, 7 full weeks, a sacred count known as Sfirat HaOmer. But this is not just about marking time," she writes. "It is about shaping it. To count the Omer is to engage in a quiet, deliberate ritual of attention. Each day becomes a brushstroke, a note, a stitch, a word, a page, a moment of presence that accumulates into meaning. For artists, this is the essence of creative work, showing up with intention, even when the masterpiece is still yet to be seen, letting time do its slow, sacred work. Counting is creating, and each day you choose to add to creation, you are part of something beautiful. And so this year, as we celebrate Shavuot, the day of the new offering, and reflect on our Omer counting season, I want you to hear from our makers. They have truly transformed time, one act at a time, through their artistic practice of counting and creating. Our first, Karen Tabb, whose gallery you may have traveled to see, is finishing a few pieces of fiber art, all in white. Her stitching and beading have been a stand-in for meditation, contemplation, spirituality, and compassion during this time. She says that the pure white, or lack of color, calls attention to each stitch or bead. Her hand-felted piece, called My Shekhinah, though it has some holes in it, it summons hope in a quest for a higher way of being. With all the hardship and noise in the world, here and at home, Karen tells us, this work and the color is providing her solace and comfort. Lauren, where are you? She's here. Yes. Has been braiding together thick bunches of yarn whose colors relate to the Sefirot. She has sewn them together to form a wave. This act of daily braiding has helped Lauren feel connected to our biblical and mystical traditions as well as our people. Phyllis Schlesinger, while also knitting a healing shawl, thank you so much for TBE's Caring Connections, has taken a different approach with her daily artistic efforts by creating a compilation of haikus. I just love that she has taken this on because she proclaimed, haiku writing is not my strength, but it's been a fun challenge to compose based on the day's theme. Counting the Omer is also a brand new tradition for her. Wow, and it's been very centering. So take a look at her brilliant progress. I will let you read her art. Beautiful. So Helene Rosenberg has also been crafting, making a quilt, one block representing each midah of each day. And perhaps most importantly, following through on the theme of Shavuot, it is a gleaning quilt, for Helene bought nothing, created 100% of it from scraps that she already had. In reflecting on her work, she realized an interesting lesson. She pushed to continue on with her intentions, even when she thought the quilt wasn't coming out exactly as she wanted it to. This is certainly a metaphor for many of the things going on in our lives. Even if all of us are not counting or crafting the Omer, this is a great time to intentionally persist on an effort, piece by piece, day by day, placing trust in the journey and the process that the result of this work will be art. It is. Susan Richmond, Hannah's mom, who will hopefully see us online, found the same to be true of her art. She has never before actually completed all 50 days of the Omer. While she knew this project and this time period may not be perfect, she started the work anyways and gave herself a lot of grace along the way. Susan has created 7 upcycled aprons from second-hand men's shirts. What a concept. The base fabric symbolizes the sphera of the week, and the pockets, ties, or other fabrics show the interaction of that daily quality within the bigger focus of the week. She says, I found myself pondering the interactions of these different sefirot and realizing that just as my aprons would be less visually interesting and unique without the extra patch pockets and contrasting waist ties, so our lives would be less interesting or less human without the interactions of all of our character traits. We so often slip into thinking that we need to find the one way or the one trait to solve all of our challenges. But this project has reminded me that it's all in the interaction of these qualities that make the difference in our lives. She continued, I've also learned daily lessons in both perseverance and in pacing myself. This is typically one of the busiest times of the year for me. How could I possibly add in something? But the idea of just even 5 minutes a day seemed doable. Just so one pocket. I didn't have to do the whole thing all at once. And quite often, if things were going well, I made myself say that this is enough for today. I'll do the next step tomorrow. As for the perseverance, Susan worked through 2 broken sewing machines. Frustration, setback, wasted time, going out of her way to try to learn how to fix the machines. Partway through the project, neither machine was working as it should when she happened into her favorite secondhand shop in her little town. There was a vintage sewing machine on sale. She passed it up, though, went home, regretted it, and prayed that it would still be there the next day when she returned. And of course, because it's the period of the Omer, there it was. And it worked like a charm. Amazingly, the machine was made in the same year that Susan was born. It was meant to be. She writes, I wouldn't have discovered this wonderful, simple, hardworking sewing machine were it not for the Omer project. I'll be ready to do much more sewing after this 7-week journey is complete. So Susan brings us back to the wonder of crafting and creating each detail at a time in pursuit of a greater whole. There is a meditative practice in each step, and certainly a celebration of accomplishment at the end. A new offering, for sure. But along the way, while we focus, set our intentions, stick to them, wrestle and stay the course, there is usually some unexpected blessing, learning, revelation, or discovery that comes. I am truly not surprised that the longest Jewish ritual of all time is most likely the least commonly practiced, as opposed to the 7 or 8 day periods of Hanukkah or Pesach. Our TBE Omer makers remind us that true beauty and the most extraordinary wonders of creation can be discovered in the process of a long, thoughtful journey. So maybe next year, you will join us simply in the counting or maybe in the making. And if you are just as inspired as I am, you will spend more time in our gallery in the atrium. Thank you to Hannah, to Rabbi Harper, to all of our makers who have helped us, especially our guests, who have helped us to kick off our Shavuot celebration. Our days will pass, whether we take note of them or not. I am so grateful that this season has given us the opportunity to not only watch our days pass by, but create meaning within them as they do. Chag Sameach.